Shalom. Welcome to day 5 of week 13 in the Bible in the Year Life Tanakh project. Today we'll be reading 1 Samuel chapter 15 to 17 from the Complete Jewish Bible. Let's dive in. Shemuel said to Shaul, Adonai sent me to anoint you king over his people, over Israel. Now listen to what Adonai has to say. Here is what Adonai Zavot says. I remember what Amalek did to Israel, how they fought against Israel when they were coming up from Egypt. Now go and attack Amalek and completely destroy everything they have. Don't spare them, but kill men and women, children and babies, cows and sheep, camels and donkeys. Shaul summoned the people and reviewed them in Telaim, 200,000 foot soldiers, with another 10,000 men from Yehudah. Shaul arrived at the city of Amalek and lay in wait in the valley. Shaul said to the Kenny, Go away, withdraw, leave your homes there with the Amalekite. Otherwise I might destroy you along with them, even though you were kind to all the people of Israel when they came out of Egypt. So the Kenny went away from among the Amalekite. Then Shaul attacked Amalek, starting at Havilah and continuing towards Shur, at the border of Egypt. He took Agag, the king of Amalek, alive, but he completely destroyed the people, putting them to the sword. However, Shaul and the people spared Agag, along with the best of the sheep and cattle, and even the second beasts, also the lambs, and everything that was good. They weren't inclined to destroy these things, but everything that was worthless or weak, they completely destroyed. Then the word of Adonai came to Shemuel. I regret setting up Shaul as king because he has turned back from following me and hasn't obeyed my orders. This made Shemuel very sad, so that he cried to Adonai all night. Shemuel got up early in the morning to meet Shaul. However, Shemuel was told, Shaul came to Carmel, set up a monument for himself there, but now he has left and is on his way down to Gilgal. Shemuel went to Shaul. Shaul said to him, May Adonai bless you. I have done what Adonai ordered. But Shemuel answered, If so, why do I hear sheep bleating and cows mooing? Shaul said, They brought them from the Amalekite because the people spared the best of the sheep and cattle to sacrifice to Adonai your God. But we completely destroyed the rest. Then Shemuel said to Shaul, Stop. I'm going to tell you what Adonai said to me last night. He said, Speak. Shemuel then said, You may be small in your own sight, but you are head of the tribes of Israel. Adonai anointed you king over Israel. Now Adonai sent you on a mission and told you, Go and completely destroy Amalek, those sinners. Keep making war on them until they have been exterminated. Why did you seize the spoil instead of paying attention to what Adonai said? From Adonai's viewpoint, you have done an evil thing. Shaul said to Shemuel, I did too pay attention to what Adonai said, and I carried out the mission on which Adonai sent me. I brought back Agag, the king of Amalek, and I completely destroyed Amalek. But the people took some of the spoil, the best of the sheep and the cattle set aside for destruction, to sacrifice to Adonai, your God, in Gilgal. Shemuel said, Does Adonai take as much pleasure in burnt offerings and sacrifices as in obeying what Adonai said? Surely, obeying is better than sacrifice, and heeding orders than the fat of rams. For rebellion is like the sin of sorcery, stubbornness like the crime of idolatry. Because you have rejected the word of Adonai, he too has rejected you as king. Shaul said to Shemuel, I have sinned. I have violated the order of Adonai and your words too, because I was afraid of the people and listened to what they said. Now please pardon my sin and come back with me so that I can worship Adonai. But Shemuel said to Shaul, I will not go back with you, because you have rejected the word of Adonai, and Adonai has rejected you as king over Israel. As Shemuel was turning around to leave, he took hold of the hem of his cloak, and it tore. Shemuel said to him, Adonai has torn the kingdom of Israel away from you today and given it to a fellow countryman of yours. who is better than you. Moreover, the Eternal One of Israel will not lie or change his mind, because he isn't a mere human being subject to changing his mind. Then Shaul said, I have sinned, but in spite of that, please show me respect now before the leaders of my people and before Israel by coming back with me, so that I can worship Adonai your God. So Shemuel followed Shaul back, and Shaul worshipped Adonai. Then Shemuel said, Bring Agag, the king of Amalek, here to me. Agag came to him in chains and said, Without doubt, mine will be a better death. Shemuel said, Just as your sword has left women childless, so will your mother be left childless among women. Then Shemuel cut Agag in pieces before Adonai in Gilgal. Shemuel returned to Ramah, and Shaul went up to his house in Givat Shaul. Never again did Shemuel see Shaul until the day he died. But Shemuel grieved over Shaul, and Adonai regretted that he had made Shaul king over Israel. Chapter 16. Adonai said to Shemuel, How much longer are you going to go on grieving for Shaul? Now that I have rejected him as king over Israel, fill your horn with oil and set out. I will send you to Yishai, the Biayl.Project, because I have chosen myself a king from among his sons. Shemuel said, How can I go? If Shaul hears of it, he will have me killed. Adonai said, Take a female cow with you and say, I've come to sacrifice to Adonai. Summon Yishai to the sacrifice. I will tell you what to do, and you are to anoint for me the person I point out to you. Shemuel did what Adonai said and arrived at Bethlehem. The leaders of the city came trembling to meet him and asked, Are you coming in peace? He answered, In peace. I have come to sacrifice to Adonai. Consecrate yourselves and come with me to the sacrifice. He consecrated Yishai and his sons and summoned them to the sacrifice. When they had come, he looked at Eliab and said, This has to be Adonai's anointed one. Here before him. But Adonai said to Shemuel, Don't pay attention to how he looks or how tall he is, because I have rejected him. Adonai doesn't see the way humans see. Humans look at the outward appearance, but Adonai looks at the heart. Then Yishai called Abinadab and presented him to Shemuel. But he said, Adonai hasn't chosen this one either. Yishai presented Shammah. Again Shemuel said, Adonai hasn't chosen this one either. Yishai presented 7 of his sons to Shemuel, but Shemuel told Yishai, Adonai has not chosen these. Are all your sons here? Shemuel asked Yishai. He replied, There's still the youngest. He's out there tending the sheep. Shemuel said to Yishai, Send and bring him back, because we won't sit down to eat until he gets here. He sent and brought him in. With ruddy cheeks, red hair, and bright eyes, he was a good-looking fellow. Adonai said, Stand up and anoint him. He is the one. Shemuel took the horn of oil and anointed him there in his brother's presence. From that day on, the spirit of Adonai would fall upon David with power. So Shemuel set out and went to Ramah. Now the spirit of Adonai had left Shaul. Instead, an evil spirit from Adonai would suddenly come over him. Shaul's servant said to him, Do you notice that there's an evil spirit from God that suddenly comes over you? Let our Lord now command your servants who are here with you to look for a man who knows how to play the lyre. Then, if the evil spirit from God comes over you, you will play, and it will do you good. Shaul said to his servants, Find me a man who can play well, and bring him to me. One of the young men answered, Here, I've seen one of the sons of Yishai, the Biayl.Project, who knows how to play. He's a brave soldier. He can fight. He chooses his words carefully, and he's pleasant looking. Besides, Adonai is with him. So Shaul sent messengers to Yishai, saying, Send me David, your son, who is out with the sheep. Yishai took a donkey, loaded it with bread, a bottle of wine, and a kid, and sent them with David, his son, to Shaul. David came to Shaul and presented himself to him. Shaul took a great liking to him and made him his armor-bearer. Shaul sent a message to Yishai, Please let David stay in my service because I'm pleased with him. So it was that whenever the evil spirit from God came over Shaul, David would take the lyre and play it, with the result that Shaul would find relief and feel better as the evil spirit left him. Chapter 17. The Plishtim rallied their troops for war, assembling at Succoth in Yehudah, and setting up camp between Succoth and Azekah in Ephes Damim. Shaul and the men of Israel assembled, set up camp in the Elah valley, and drew up their battle line opposite the Philistine. The Plishtim occupied a position on one hill, and Israel position on another hill, with a valley between them. There came out a champion from the camp of the Philistine, named Goliath from Gath, who was 9 feet 9 inches tall. He had a bronze helmet on his head, and he wore a bronze armor plate weighing 120 pounds. He had bronze armor protecting his legs, and a bronze javelin between his shoulders. The shaft of his spear was as big as a weaver's beam, and the iron spearhead weighed 15 pounds. His shield bearer went out ahead of him. He stood and yelled at the armies of Israel, "Why come out and draw up a battle line? I am a Philistine, and you are servants of Shaul. So choose a man for yourselves, and let him come down to me. If he can fight me and kill me, we'll be your slaves. But if I beat him and kill him, you will become slaves and serve us." The Philistine added, "I challenge Israel's armies today. Give me a man, and we'll fight it out." When Shaul and all Israel heard those words of the Philistine, they were shaken and terrified. Now David was the son of that Ephrathite from Belatikim in Yehudah, named Yishai. He had 8 sons, and in the time of Shaul he was old. The years had taken their toll. Yishai's 3 oldest sons had followed Shaul to battle. The names of his 3 sons who went to battle were Eliab, the firstborn, next to him Abinadab, and the third Shammah. David was the youngest. The 3 oldest followed Shaul. David went back and forth from Shaul to pasture his father's sheep at Beth-Lehem. Meanwhile, the Philistine approached with his challenge every morning and evening for 40 days. Yishai said to David his son, "Please take your brothers 5 bushels of this roasted grain and these 10 loaves of bread. Hurry and carry them to your brothers at the camp. Also bring these 10 cheeses to their field officer. Find out if your brothers are well, and bring back some token from them. Shaul and your brothers, with all the army of Israel, are in the Elah valley fighting the Philistine." David got up early in the morning, left the sheep with a helper, took his load, and set out, as Yishai had ordered him. He arrived at the barricade of the camp just as the troops were going out to their battle stations and shouting the war cry. Israel and the Philistine had set up their battle lines facing each other. David left his equipment in charge of the equipment guard, ran to the troops, went to his brothers, and asked if they were well. As he was talking with them, there came the champion, the Philistine, from Gath named Goliath, from the ranks of the Philistine, saying the same words as before, and David heard them. When the soldiers from Israel saw the man, they all ran away from him, terrified. The soldiers from Israel said to each other, "You saw that man who just came up? He has come to challenge Israel. To whoever kills him, the king will give a rich reward. He will also give him his daughter, and exempt his father's family from all service and taxes in Israel." David said to the men standing with him, "What reward will be given to the man who kills the Philistine and removes this disgrace from Israel? Who is this uncircumcised Philistine anyway, that he challenges the armies of the living God?" The people answered with what they had been saying, adding, "That's what will be done for the man who killed him." Eliab, his oldest brother, heard when David spoke to the man, and it made Eliab angry at him. He asked, "Why did you come down here? With whom did you leave those few sheep in the desert?" I know how conceited you are and how wicked your heart is. You just came down to watch the fighting." David said, "What have I done now? I only asked a question." He turned away from him to someone else and asked the same question, and the people gave him the same answer. David's words were overheard and told to Shaul, who summoned him. David said to Shaul, "No one should lose heart because of him. Your servant will go and fight this Philistine." Shaul said to David, "You can't go to fight this Philistine. You're just a boy, and he has been a warrior from his youth." David answered Shaul, "Your servant used to guard his father's sheep. When a lion or a bear would come and grab a lamb from the flock, I would go after it, hit it, and snatch the lamb from its mouth. And if it turned on me, I would catch it by the jaw, smack it, and kill it. Your servant has defeated both lions and bears, and this uncircumcised Philistine will be like one of them, because he has challenged the armies of the living God." Then David said, "Adonai, who rescued me from the paw of the lion and from the paw of the bear, who rescued me from the paw of this Philistine." Shaul said to David, "Go, may Adonai be with you." Shaul dressed David in his own armor. He put a bronze helmet on his head and gave him armor plate to wear. David buckled his sword on his armor and tried to walk, but he wasn't used to such equipment. David said to Shaul, "I can't move wearing these, if I'm not used to them." But David took them off. Then he took his stick in his hand and picked 5 smooth stones from the riverbed, putting them in his shepherd's bag, in his pouch. Then with his sling in his hand, he approached the Philistine. The Philistine, with his shield bearer ahead of him, came nearer and nearer to David. The Philistine looked David up and down and had nothing but scorn for what he saw. A boy with ruddy cheeks, red hair, and good looks. The Philistine said to David, "Am I a dog? Is that why you are coming at me with sticks?" And the Philistine cursed David by his God. Then the Philistine said to David, "Come here to me, so I can give your flesh to the birds in the air and the wild animals." David answered the Philistine, "You're coming at me with a sword, a spear, and a javelin, but I am coming at you in the name of Adonai Sabaoth, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have challenged. Today Adonai will hand you over to me. I will attack you, lop your head off, and give the carcasses of the army of the Philistines to the birds in the air and the animals in the land. And all the land will know that there is God in Israel. And everyone assembled here will know that Adonai does not save by sword or spear, for this is Adonai's battle, and he will hand you over to us." When the Philistine got up, approached, and came close to meet David, David hurried and ran toward the army to meet the Philistine. David put his hand in his bag, took out a stone, and hurled it with his sling. It struck the Philistine in his forehead and buried itself in his forehead, so that he fell face down on the ground. Thus David defeated the Philistine with a sling and a stone, striking the Philistine and killing him. But David had no sword in his hand. Then David ran and stood over the Philistine, took his sword, drew it out of his sheath, and finished killing him, cutting off his head with it. When the Philistines saw that their hero was dead, they fled. The men of Israel and Judah got up, shouting, and pursued the Philistines all the way to Gath and the gates of Ekron. The wounded Philistine fell down along the road from Sharaim to Gath and Ekron. After chasing the Philistines, the army of Israel returned and plundered their camp. David took the head of the Philistine and brought it to Jerusalem, but he put the armor of the Philistine in his tent. When Shaul saw David go out to fight the Philistine, he said to Abner, the army's commander, "Abner, whose son is this boy?" "By your life, O king," Abner replied, "I don't know." The king said, "Find out whose son this boy is." As David returned from killing the Philistine, Abner took him and brought him to Shaul with the head of the Philistine in his hand. Shaul asked him, "Young man, whose son are you?" David answered, "I am the son of your servant, Yishai, the Beth-Lehi." Here ends the reading for today. Amen.